What up, guys? Stephen Christoph here for episode 2 of the Gate Drop Pod Show. Today's interviewee that we interview is none other than the 604 of Max Miller. He is out of Springfield, Oregon. He rips at Eugene. You've seen him probably at Albany, Pac West, Top Gun, you name it. We're going to talk to him about his 2021 Monster Energy Supercross season on the East Coast and find out what he's been up to and how he started racing. This is episode 2 of the Gate Drop Pod Show, and it starts now. All right, we are live right now on the phone with the number 604 of Max Miller. How's it going, Max?
It's going pretty good. I'm actually recovering right now from a Supercross crash, but been doing everything I can to get my body ready and to get back on the bike soon. Hoping to suit up and ride in about a week or so, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how I feel. But yeah, just going day by day.
Yeah. Are you back in Oregon now after your little get-off you had there at Indy?
No, I'm in California. I'm hanging out down here, still going and seeing my trainer and chiropractor and everything. Just stuck down here. Thought about going home for a few days, but just kind of been busy each day doing something else, trying to recover.
Yeah. I mean, you're not missing much up here. It's all rainy and snowy, and we got ice and everything. So I think California is probably doing you real well right now.
Yeah.
So before I get into all your present racing right now with Monster Energy Supercross, I have a few questions from kind of the beginning. What led you into racing dirt bikes in general?
Well, my dad, when he was a kid, he raced, but ended up having to quit when he was younger. But I grew up on a farm in Oregon, and my older brother had a little Honda 50 that he would ride around just kind of like as a pit bike. And I wanted to ride it so bad. I saw him riding it one day, and I was about 3 years old, and I wanted to ride it so bad that I was begging my parents, and I hadn't even learned how to ride a bicycle yet. But I kept asking, and then finally my dad said, once you learn how to ride a bicycle, we'll try to get you to ride a motorcycle. And I didn't even have a bike my size, so I just stole my brother's bike, which was way too big for me. I climbed up on a cooler, and I just kicked off and just spent all day trying to figure it out. My dad came home from work, and I jumped up on the cooler, hopped on the bike, rode kind of around the driveway, and then ditched it into the grass, and then that was pretty much it. Then they got me out there in a open face helmet and some ski boots, and that was it.
That's great. I love that story right there. So you grew up on the farm. That's in Springfield, Oregon, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I know most riders here, your name started, popping up over in Eugene and Albany. Where and when was your first race as a rider?
My first race was at Eugene MX, and I maybe just turned 4. Could barely get around the track, but we have a video of it somewhere of me just bobblehead cruising around. But yeah, it was at Eugene when I was really little. Eugene, and could have been, well, my first ever race was at Eugene, but then Albany shortly after, and ping ponged back and forth.
Yeah, it looks like, that was kind of your common kind of area. I know I didn't really see you till later up in the Washougal area, and other racetracks up north. I did some research on you, and when I was interviewing Ryan Breeze, he was talking about he went to public school while he was like in the middle of racing and whatnot. And it looks like you kind of had like the common trait of doing the public school versus private. How was it trying to do Monday through Friday in school and then racing on the weekends?
Honestly, it was really good. I actually enjoyed going to school a lot, the whole social aspect and seeing all my friends and whatnot. But fortunately for me, the schools I went to worked with me well on working around my schedule. And like if I had to leave for spring nationals, like when I was on like 85s, they would they'd get me all my work that I'd be missing ahead of time. So they'd go through they'd schedule it out and give everything to me. And then I'd have to hammer it out on the drive going to Texas or whatnot. And then get back to school and hopefully meet up on track with school. Actually, sometimes they'd lead me on a little bit and give me a little extra work, but it ended up working out just fine. And so yeah, I did that all through grade school, through middle school, and then into high school. I did like some online classes through the high school along with public class or like normal classes. And I did that for freshman year, and it was pretty tough because at that point I was going back and forth to California more often, and it was more of a struggle, but ended up having an ACL injury right after that. And I went back to public school full time and for the first half of my sophomore year for the first semester. And that was really fun, getting back to being a normal kid and not having to focus so much on racing. Just went back to school and enjoyed that for a little bit, took full set of classes. And then right after that, I went to the on-track schooling and went fully online school for sophomore year. And then I ended up being able to graduate the end of my junior year because I overloaded on classes.
Oh, geez. Man, you really pounded it out so then you could, focus on the dirt bikes. You got school behind you. Yeah, I mean, man, that's quite an accomplishment right there.
Yeah, it was good to go to the on-track schools. They really make it easy for you to work around your own schedule. I mean, you still have to do the work and you still have to get all the credits required for graduation, but being able to do it all on your own time, and if you have some time where you're not riding, like weekends for a while, especially my junior year, I pretty much didn't really have much of a life outside of riding and homework. But now that I got it done, I'm able to focus on more stuff and bettering my career with racing, whether it's spending more time in the gym, whether it's working on my mental strength, a bunch of different things. I can focus on where I apply my energy.
Yeah. What was it like? I know Motosport.com, they came into play there and they ended up having a little mini YouTube series for you. What was it like to ride your dirt bike around school and have that like footage and whatnot?
That was such a cool series that Motorsport did. I was super bummed that actually I think some of those videos ended up having to get taken off YouTube for like some music issues or something. I don't know exactly, but
yeah, I was trying to find it and they were gone. I was like, what?
Yeah, only the fourth one and the last one is on YouTube right now. But that was actually such an awesome series that I did with Motosport. And it was funny because when I first started the series, I was just I think I was in 7th grade. And we did that video where it showed me walking out of school because I was when I was still going to school. And it's just up the road from my house, like half a mile maybe. And I did a clip where I walked out with my backpack on with my friends or whatever, and then went to the van, and they did one where I shut the locker door and I was fully kitted, with my helmet in my hand. I walked out and did a wheelie and some nose wheelies through the parking lot and goofed around, and then the rest of the clip or the rest of the video is me riding the corner track on the farm, just all muddy and splashing through puddles. And
hopefully it gets re-released because that was a fun series and I really enjoyed watching all that because just the creativity that they did back when they were doing videos and whatnot, that was just so cool to see, just a regular student in school and then boom, just the lifestyle of what you guys are doing right now, becoming a professional racer.
Yeah, it was cool. They also did one in Texas for the spring nationals. and it showed like what it's like hanging out in the pits and me goofing around and watching races and racing, and then on to the next race in Freestone. And it was a pretty fun series. They did such a great job filming it, and I was so stoked like when they came out. And I know a lot of people enjoyed them. I keep getting people talking to me, asking when they're coming back or what's the next episode, but unfortunately we haven't been able to make anything happen. I've thought about doing some sort of vlogs or something just to like kind of do the same similar things, show more about what I do, kind of what the lifestyle is like. I just haven't really gotten around to it. I need to focus more energy on that side of it to just keep branding myself and building, but I'm not that great with like the editing and stuff, so I should work on it and learn more about it soon. At the moment, I haven't done anything since.
Well, I may know a few people, cough, cough. But, so since you got riding, you said what, 3 or 4 was when you first started riding and getting in the racing. What, it's inspired you like to really take that leap of faith and you know what, I'm going to go big on racing and we're all in? Was there like Northwest riders that you looked up to get you to where you're at now?
For sure, there was always people I looked up to. Like I was close with Chris Aldridge and Justin Hill, so I got to travel with them quite a bit and follow them around, and they helped us out quite a bit along the way. Just like learning how the races go and what races to go to, and like that step forward from becoming like a local rider to then like venturing out to maybe a few internationals here and there, and like that whole deal. But also just from doing that, like that step, and then recognizing like if like with better results, and then it's just kind of like anything. You get into it a little bit, and then you have a little taste of like a national, and then you go to the next one, and maybe you acquire a couple new sponsors or that whole deal. But I think it wasn't too serious like through my younger amateur years at first, and then because I didn't ride that much. Like I'd ride on winter break. We'd make a trip with some friends to California and ride, but during the week or weekends, I didn't ride during the week, and then on the weekends I'd go play in the mud at wherever, at Albany, or like in the summertime I'd go to Washougal for the 7 series. But it wasn't too serious. We'd skip out and go spring nationals like on 85s and 65s. But once I got a little bit older, about super minis and 125s, we started having to take it a little more serious, make some trips to California. Summertime I'd obviously ride as much as I could, but going to school you lose that time on the bike.
Yeah. So what was your just going through, I looked at your what do you call it, portfolio or resume that you had on your maxmiller.com, and like 2015 to 16, like you got 5th, 3rds, 1st, and you're just dominating there, all in the top 3 and a lot of first places. What was your first big break, in your opinion, to where sponsors are looking at you and you're getting picked up and doing all the big races?
Well, I had my first real sponsor was AXO. I had a couple local shops help me out at first, and then my first like sponsorship that I got from racing was right at Mammoth for the Invitational on 50s. Back before you could just sign up, it was the first year they ever let 50s race this event, and I was part of those who got picked, and I got sponsored by AXO, and then that was pretty cool. But moving forward, I had like a Thousand Oaks sponsorship for a little bit when I was on 65s and 85s, and then I went to Prague for the Junior World Championships in 2013 on 65s. And when I did that, I ended up getting the Orange Brigade ride just after that, and that was a pretty big deal for me. I was stoked about it. I mean, once on that team, I felt like that was a pretty big accomplishment, and I've stuck with them since. And it's such an awesome team, and I'm very grateful for all the years of support. But that was kind of like all right, well, I gotta like, it's a little bit more added pressure. Not that they pressured you, but like you kind of feel like you have to perform. Like you kind of have to hold yourself maybe at a little bit of a higher level. You can't like accept bad results, I guess. Even though like you never really do, but like I don't know. I guess it's just that was one of the bigger deals of my young career.
Yeah, so it's like Orange Brigade, kind of like the Team Green, but for like KTM.
Yeah, so pretty much you on the Orange Brigade team, it's their, I would say, I guess, factory amateur team. It's that's just KTM's support program for their amateurs. And Team Green is it's the Cowie one, or like they call Yamaha like the Blue Crew, but they like that would be like their star team, I guess.
Okay.
But the Orange Brigade is only amateur. It's different teams for when you go pro.
Interesting. So racing all across the United States, what is like the most important kind of race series or racetrack to do for an amateur, for like kids that are wanting to follow the same pathway as you?
I mean, everything kind of points at Loretta's for like, that's like the biggest amateur national, and you have your area qualifiers and your regionals, but there's a bunch of races that are like for stepping stones. I mean, it depends really where you live, because you're not going to just jump into it. You want to kind of see where you sit.
Yeah.
So I really think California Classic, that's a good one. There's that, and that's like if you're on the West Coast, Villapoto's been doing the RV Cup. You'll get some good riders that'll race that. I mean, that's Northwest stuff. If you're on the East Coast, you'd go like Mini O's in Florida, and then you could step it up if you're like a West Coast guy. If you want to go get more experience, you could go to Mammoth. That's a pretty big one. There's a lot of fast guys that show up to that one. Some of the East Coast guys don't come out, but for West Coast racing, that's like, it's a pretty intense race. It's one of the majors. And then obviously if you go to Loretta's, that's a major, and that's a big commitment for racing.
Yeah, I bet. I know, like, with a lot of people's journeys, like, even, like, last year I followed Tristan Pruitt for a little bit for the area qualifiers and regionals. Just the amount of time, work, and effort that you put into it. I mean, it costs a bunch of money and whatnot. So, it's, you got to be really the cream of the crop if you want to, try to make it big and do really well at Loretta's.
Yeah, and it's tough because it's like, it's such a highlighted race that like all that pressure goes into that one event, and you have some bad luck. Like I had many years at Loretta's that I've just it just doesn't really go your way, and maybe it's because of just the pressure some people can't take, or like I've had a lot of bike failures there. I mean, on 50s, the first time I went, my dad worked really hard to give me the good equipment and make sure it handled right, but we were green to the sport, so we didn't really know what we needed. And my axle was actually just like, he's going to be so mad if he hears this story, but my axle was just like slightly like sideways, just barely. So it threw my chain, and it throws my chain, and I just yard sail in one of the sand sweepers, and I get up, my bars are bent down, and me and the flagger put the chain back on, or like the flagger helped me push my bike when I rolled the chain on, and I get up and I just start pinning it and hammering and whatever. I end up doing all right. And then one of the motos the same week, I'm in second place, and the corner before the finish line, on the last lap, my chain comes off, and I get up and I can see the finish line, and there's people passing me, and I'm like trying to put the chain on real quick. And then once I realized I was wasting time putting the chain on, I just pushed my motorcycle. And it's kind of far from the last corner to the finish. There's like 2 doubles and then over the finish line. And I'd already wasted time with the flagger trying to put the chain on. Ended up getting, I think, like 17th or something. I don't even know. But that was like one of my best rides, and I got it stripped away. But it was a learning experience. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal because I was on a 50, but like, it would have been real cool to get a podium. At Mammoth one year, I snapped my wrist after, it was actually one of my best years. It was actually the year I went to Prague. I'd done very well at the Spring Nationals, won a few championships, went to Mammoth, won 2 Big Bears the first day. Second day, I was battling with Masterpool, and we locked bars, and I snapped a bone in my wrist, and decided to still go to Loretta's. with just barely having no time after Mammoth on the bike, and then didn't have a very good trip, and then went to Prague for the Junior World Championships. Team USA ended up winning that, which was really fun. I want to say I got 5th overall or 6th overall. I honestly don't even know. But my teammate, Aiden DeHarrell, ended up winning the World Championship that year, which was really cool. Yeah, it was awesome to bring home the win for Team USA. And that was when I was on a 65. But there's just, there's a lot of different things that I guess I got way off topic, but there's a lot of different things for Loretta that go into play, whether it's equipment failure, stressing yourself out, or just being racing against the best kids in the world.
I mean, you've done so much. I mean, what, you're 18 now?
Yeah.
I mean, just that alone and how much you've done from 50s and now is just amazing. How do you keep yourself motivated and just keep pushing and never giving up?
I don't know. I don't know exactly how to answer that. I guess it's just, I just want to succeed, and I want to do better. You have your own mental goals of what you're doing, but I enjoy just riding my dirt bike, and I enjoy competing and just bettering myself. So, even though this year I don't know if very many people know, but I actually went to go do an outdoor at the end of the outdoor season. I went to, or close to the end, I went to Millville to race my pro debut in the Pro Motocross Championship, and it was super exciting. I got to see how it all worked. I qualified 21st, I think, 21st or 22nd from practice. And then went out there to race and got a terrible start and was battling through the pack, riding pretty well. I was just inside, I was battling around that bubble of 18 to 22. And I locked bars with another rider and crashed, and then ended up breaking my collarbone.
Oh, jeez.
And that was 15 minutes into the first moto. But even though I really wasn't doing that great, it was a taste of it. And even though I was sitting on the side of the track, and I knew my collar, when I jumped up, I tried to pick up my bike, but then I wasn't quite sure it was busted yet, and I could just feel it. And then I pulled my bike, and I knew it was busted, so I sat on the edge of the track and I watched all the competitors and some of my buddies go by, and I just instant reflection of what the day was, and in my head I was it was, even though I didn't do that great, it was a little bit of adrenaline knowing that I could do that again. If my collarbone wasn't broken right now, I could still be out there hammering, knowing that I could do better than what I was doing, but it wasn't that difficult for me to do what I was doing at the moment.
Yeah, once you got a taste of it, you're just I'm set. I want to do this, you know,
and
inside, indoors and out.
Yeah, well, and I had no idea what Supercross was like, but I always thought of myself as a Supercross guy anyway, just because I'm a pretty technical rider, and I've always liked riding Supercross stuff and arena cross and whatnot. But when I was racing outdoors, I was even my 15 minutes of outdoors, I was shoot, if I could clean some stuff up, get some better starts, this wasn't that difficult for me to go ride where I was riding. The pace is kind of what I was getting at, but it even though I was sitting on the couch with a broken collarbone, I was so hungry to get back out there and give it another swing. And it was weird because I kind of was at a low. That was super unfortunate that it happened, and I wasn't even riding my dirt bike, but it just made you want to work harder for it.
Yeah. So since we don't have Supercross or even arena cross tracks besides Clark County back when that was happening, and then Salem Arena Cross here in Oregon, how did you kind of get your feet wet with the Supercross style tracks?
I guess I don't really know. I've ridden some technical outdoor tracks or backyard hybrids. But I did arena cross at Salem when I was little, actually. We'd go Tuesday nights. This one I was really little, 50s and 65s. My dad and I would jump in the pickup and drive up there and ride in the wintertime at Salem. And that was fun. But that, like, I mean, it's kind of just like an indoor outdoor track. You would never really have like a Supercross rhythm or anything.
Yeah.
But I guess just I did some arena crosses when I was really little, like 50s and 60s, like the series that they used to have. I don't know. I did Monster Cup on Super Minis twice, and I trained with Monty Hill at Justin and Josh Hill's house in Yoncalla. And that's kind of where I got into Supercross, and their outdoor tracks were pretty gnarly as well, like pretty technical.
Yeah. I've
and
seen the monster video.
yeah, like they're big jumps, and I was out there on 65 and 85, like doing motos with Justin, and you're out there and you just learn to send it, I guess. Like I was never really afraid of jumps. Like I always loved to jump big jumps. So I was out there just it was like a kid in a candy store. I'd go learn a new jump, and then I'd tell Justin or Monty, and they wouldn't believe me. So then I'd have Monty hiking across the mountain to the backside of the track, and I'd jump a big jump, and he'd get all pumped up. And
oh man, I could just see it, like just Justin Hill just hanging out there, and you're just like, hey man, watch me set it on my 65. And they're just like, yeah, right. And then you go and do it and just mind blown them.
Yeah, there's one from one of the videos they did recently, this triple step up. That's like you jump into this goalie, and then there's a triple step up. And I remember when I first hit that thing, it was like pretty much everything I had on my 65, but like it was such a cool feeling because it was like kind of like one of those jumps where it's so steep and you're like going with the ground because it's a step up, and then you like fall like straight down, like you're not moving forward anymore, like you just drop straight down to the landing.
God.
And it was like, that was just one of the sickest things. And I couldn't stop hitting it. Like once I jumped it, I was obsessed.
Yeah, you're not going to see me. I'm going to stick with the camera. I'm not going to do any. I'm going to leave you up to doing all that crazy stuff. Hopefully I'll just be there to film more of it, or, be there to film it.
Yeah.
So, looking back, Top Gun was a pretty big race, I would say, in my opinion. There was a lot of the new generation of Northwest riders, yourself, Carson Brown, Levi Kitchen, Austin Black. How did it feel to really show yourself and, continue to spark the interest from all the Northwest community to watch you now into Supercross? How was that event for you?
Top Gun was a lot of fun. It was good battling with all my friends. It was really cool racing some of the older guys that I'd looked up to for a long time. 2 weeks before Top Gun, I did the Sasquatch National, and it was pretty crazy lining up next to my old trainer, Landon Courier, local legend. I used to work with him on the weekends and whatnot at Woodland or whatever and Levi and I would actually go work with him sometimes. And he when he was doing his training, which he's back into training in the Northwest, which is awesome. But it was crazy because he's gotten back into racing quite a bit. And so I lined up next to him for the Sasquatch National, and that was crazy. And we talked about how it was so rad to be able to race with each other. And then from then on, this was after Loretta's, and I had a pretty rough Loretta's actually this year. Just struggled. I think I had some mental blocks, and then just a tough year in general at the ranch. And I got home for the Sasquatch National, and Levi had an exceptional year at Loretta's and was coming into it with a ton of confidence and riding really, really well. And I got to race him in the 250 class, and we battled all right. He beat me Moto 1. It was a one-day event, so he beat me Moto 1, and then we raced the Sasquatch class, which was the 450 class with I think, I want to say Black and Carson were also in that one. No, Black wasn't there, but Carson Brown was there, and I think Tommy Weeks raced it as well. And we all battled it out, and it was a ton of fun racing that one. But then I went back to the 250 class with Levi, and it felt good. I think I hole shotted. He passed me. I think I passed him back, and then he got me back, and I was right on him, pressuring him pretty good. Ended up falling down at the bottom of the Crandall's Cliff, and was bummed because I wanted to just go tooth and nail that moto, because Levi and I ride pretty good together. We you can anticipate what you're going to do, so you can trust somebody. And once you ride with somebody quite a bit, you know what they're gonna do when you're racing together. And so we were
Yeah.
battling good and pushing pretty hard, and then I ended up falling. And when I got up, I like still started hammering, and I could see where he was at on the track, and ended up like gaining some more confidence and riding better, which helped. I was like, it's exactly what I needed. And then into Top Gun, I built speed throughout that weekend. Got a moto win, and I honestly don't know my overalls, but that was a pretty fun weekend as well. Just battling with all my friends, and yeah, it was just a good time.
Yeah, it was you four guys. Ryan Brees was out there and a couple of the older generation riders, but you four really separated yourself from everyone else in the field, and you could just tell, like, well, here comes the next class of riders in the Northwest, and it's really cool, like, seeing you guys like succeeding on all the hard work you've been doing. So, with Monster Energy Supercross happening and the East Coast, what made you and your dad and just your sponsors determine, hey, this is the year we're going to break out in Supercross?
It's been a struggle what we've been trying to do, actually, because I'm actually still sponsored by the KTM Orange Brigade, and so I'm still an amateur racer. But once you do a practice, or I think maybe make a night show or whatever at a Supercross, it cancels you from being able to race Loretta's, which is what I talked about earlier. Like, that's the big race as an amateur. And so that was a tough one to figure out with sponsors and whatnot, if I'd be able to do that, if I'd be able to race Supercross. But ultimately we figured it out, and so I went and tried to get my feet wet and race some Supercross races, and struggled, like I was talking about earlier, maybe a little bit mental. I had some minor just injuries and soreness of my body that held me back in a couple rounds, or crashing, or just learning the ropes. It's tough. It's not easy going out there racing those dudes, but ultimately I think I was beating myself. I wasn't able to ever go out there and get a clean moto in, like a main event. I crashed out of the last two, and the first one I went out there and I rode like junk. So I was pretty upset with my performance for Supercross. It was still fun learning, and I ended up qualifying 7th at the last round before I got hurt, that was pretty cool. And then I had some wild LCQ moments that were pretty cool. I mean, I don't want to go to the LCQ, but we ended up making it through. So it ended up being all right with a couple of them, but the decision to get there was a struggle with the sponsor side of it. And I'm still going to do some amateur races this year. Actually, I'm nursing my body back to health right now, but I'll hopefully be able to get on the bike soon and go to Spring-a-Ding and Freestone to check off some sponsor obligations as an amateur racer. And then I'm hopefully going to just hammer down and get back at it and do some outdoors this summer as well. And the last 2 Supercross rounds.
Okay. I mean, you do got to give yourself some huge credit here. First ever race, Houston, round 1. I mean, you got Faulkner, Mosman, Nichols, Craig, Shimoda, and you make it in through the LCQ on your first try. I mean, that's pretty damn impressive in my opinion. I know I was cheering and yelling at the screen for you.
Thank you. I was actually sitting in a pretty good spot in the heat race, and on lap 1 we came through the whoops, and I hit the corner, and everybody's getting all bunched up, and actually Devin Harriman, one of my buddies, came in hot and just slammed me, and it ended up making myself, Devin, and another guy that was on the outside of me go down, and just exploded my hand. I was bleeding, and my finger's still pretty messed up, but like just clobbered me, bent my front brake in the air, and then I still tried to hammer the rest of my heat race, but I don't know what place I got. And then I was in the LCQ and got in the lead, and then framed the triple after I made an aggressive pass the corner before the triple, but the TV didn't show. I absolutely framed the triple and racked myself, and was not riding very well after that. Was fully just squidding out, and ended up getting 4th and barely making it in. And my body for the next few days was very, very sore. And then I had round 2 coming up. Also didn't ride good. Ended up crashing in the whoop section, or crashed in the LCQ, the heat race, all by myself, just tucked the front in a corner. And then
Oh
and
no.
the LCQ, I just yard sailed in the whoops, just got a little huckabuck and crashed, and then blew it that time, and was very disappointed in myself because, I mean, there was a ton of work that was put in this year. Like, I train 4 days a week on the track and 5 days a week in the gym, sometimes 6. And it's hard because a lot of people say I did very well, and I appreciate it, and I love the support. But for my own mental goals and what I worked for and what I knew I could have accomplished and should have applied my skills and done, for what I did this season was pretty disappointing for myself, because my speed training and all that, I never really got to full speed racing Supercross. And the closest was my qualifying of the last day. And then I ended up having a first turn pile up. I made it to the heat race on the last one, and then I crashed in the main event on the start, was trying to hammer out more laps, and then when I went on off, I kind of came up just a tad short, and then it bucked me into the face of the next one, kicked me off the bike, and I landed on my feet. And then unfortunately, it was right around when Mosman was leading the moto, coming around, getting close to lapping me. I crashed right in the center of the track, and he locked him up and turned as best he could, but ended up clipping me, and I busted my transverse process of my L2, L3, and L4 of my back, and cut my season a little short.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what happened on that jump. I couldn't, from the footage and everything, I couldn't tell if you cross-rutted or what. And then of course, Murphy's Law, it's right after you had that first turn crash, and yeah, Mosman's right there, and everyone saw it. Most inconvenient timing ever for you.
Yeah, and I felt so bad. I mean, I crashed, and I think what I did was, when I went to go on off, I tried so hard to carried a ton of speed off it because I'd started quadding over the table. When I came off, I just didn't get enough pop off the table, and so when I caught a little buck, and it bucked me forward, and I missed the transition of the next one and went right into the face of the 5-footer, and it just kicked me off the bike. And then I landed on my feet, actually, kind of on my feet, and when I hit the ground, and then Michael slid into me, and I hobbled off the track and caught my breath, and I actually ended up bruising my lungs as well, so I was spitting a little bit of blood. But
oh God,
I'm laying on the track, and the Alpine Star medical crew they were awesome. They're such a great asset to have at the track. They make it so much easier on us, and they got to me quick and helped me across the track and get into a mule and back to the rig and checked me out. And Doc Bodner checked out my ankle and made sure I was good, and not let me leave, but made sure my bleeding stopped in the lungs. And I ended up going back to the rig and hanging out and trying to just nurse myself back to hopefully ride Tuesday coming up. But I called Bodner the night before. I called him on Monday night and to get a hold of him and see if he could check me out in the morning, because I still wasn't getting any better with my back. I was still struggling to walk around, and he actually said he saw a video of my footage and was trying to get a hold of me and advised me to go get a CT scan and make sure everything's okay. And so that night I had my mom go with me, and we went to the hospital, and turns out I had a couple broken pieces off my vertebrae. And Oof. So I told Bodner, and I appreciate their expertise so much. I mean, they don't have obviously they couldn't tell that in their rig, but he knew from watching the film, he was like, yeah, you probably need to go make sure you're all right. And
yeah. What's the timeline for your return with that kind of injury?
They say 4 to 6 weeks. So it's for having a broken back, and it sounds a lot worse than it is. It's not as dangerous as it sounds. It's in a good location. It's just on the lower part of your spine, there's these little, you could almost refer to them as little wings off your spine. And I just busted on one side. I just broke those right down the center. So 4 to 6 weeks is what it takes for a bone to start healing. But they pretty much told me if I could manage the pain of it, I could ride right now at low risk. So I've been trying to just get my body feeling right. It still hurts, but it gets better every single day. I'm able to cruise around now. I've been working on I have this vintage car I have down here that I've been working on, and I mean some stuff still hurts, but it's getting better, and I expect myself to ride probably next week.
Okay. I mean, man, that takes a lot. Like I said, that takes a lot of heart and skill and just determination, and you have all that all put together for you. So I'm wishing the best for you on that, and you're gonna try to return once the East Coast comes back for Supercross. Try to finish it out.
Yeah, at the moment that's a plan. Like I said, I'm just waiting pretty much to get back on the bike. I need to ride a little bit. I'm gonna get on the bike and start doing some outdoor riding, and then go race amateur races, Spring-a-Ding and Freestone, and then right when I get back from that, I will probably be riding outdoor and Supercross, maybe just a couple days each a week. I mean, it's really nothing set in stone at the moment. I mean, I could skip the last couple rounds, but after crashing and not being satisfied with my performance as it is for the season, I personally, I mean, I could be told different by sponsors or trainers, like what they want me to do. And a lot of my decisions go through my trainer, Nathan Ramsey, and then my gym trainer, Randy Lawrence, because they have a ton of knowledge and ultimately they make great decisions or advise me to make great decisions. Like I said, I learned a lot this season, but with all that I had to learn, I didn't perform the way I expected myself to. So hopefully I can get on the bike and race the last 2 rounds in Utah. One will be an East Coast round, and then the shootout will be the next day or the next race, which will be extremely gnarly. Yeah, I want to get out there and race those guys again.
Sweet. Well, we can't wait to see you out there again once you're healed and ready to go. Just to wrap up, is there anyone you'd like to thank, sponsor-wise, or anyone who's helping you out right now?
First off, I'd like to thank my mom and dad because, I mean, at the moment, I'm not supporting myself, and they got me into this, and I appreciate everything they do for me, even though sometimes it's hard to show it. But yeah, I'm so grateful for my parents and what they allow me to do. I'd also like to thank both my trainers, Randy Lawrence and Nathan Ramsey. Like I said, they helped me with a lot of my decisions, and they're books of knowledge for sure. And I appreciate them a ton. Also the KTM Orange Brigade team, FMF, Scott goggles, Bell helmet, 7 Gear, Alpine Star boots, Mobius knee braces, Ethica Thrill Seekers, Twisted Development motors, Factory Connection suspension, Pro Taper, Chirby's, Dunlop tires, Motion Pro. There's a whole bunch of dudes that help me out, and I mean, really, it'd be all near impossible to do what we're doing without them. But yeah, awesome. I'm for sure missing a handful right now, and I'm drawing a blank, and and they deserve to be thanked, but I can't seem to put it together right now. But everybody who helps me, I appreciate so much.
Well, sweet. How do people find you and keep up to date on your racing and day-to-day life?
Social media. I do a lot of my posting on Instagram. My tag is MadMax604. That's the main thing I do. I do kind of goofy videos, or not really goofy videos, but little edits and whatnot on like TikTok and stuff. But that's not like a big social piece. I don't really do anything I don't really have a Facebook, and then I do like.
Yeah, it looks like you just got the page.
Yeah, my mom ran that for a while, and then I need to actually. You talked about you looked up my website. I haven't updated that since I think the last result on there is 2016. So I might have to get into that. But actually, in my off time, I've been trying to, like I said, spend my energy bettering my career and whatnot. And so I spent a lot of time today looking up logos and designs and designing a little T-shirt. So I think I'm going to start selling some merch. So if you guys want to look at my Instagram and keep an eye out for that, I'll be doing that soon.
Sweet. I can't wait to get my hands on some Miller merch. Gotta put that in my man cave here with my Pruitt jerseys and Ryan Breeze and Villapoto stuff. That'd be, pretty awesome to put on the wall.
Heck yeah.
Well, Max, I just want to say thanks for taking the time and giving me this awesome interview, and I hope all goes well for you, and I can't wait to see you back on the bike.
Thank you. I appreciate the questions and putting this out there.
Awesome. Well, that is Max Miller, number 604. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and we'll see you guys at the next event and next podcast. That's a wrap for episode 2 of the Gate Drop Pro podcast with the number 604 of Max Miller. If you want to check out more podcasts, media, photos, whatever it is, make sure to hit the subscribe button on YouTube here at Gate Drop Productions. Follow me at Gate Drop Pro on Instagram, like my page Gate Drop Productions on Facebook, and check out my website www.gatedropproductions.com. Thanks everyone for checking in, and we out.